Bonjour à tous et à toutes, bienvenue à la conférence de presse du film que nous allons présenter ce soir sur la Piazza Grande, Vous n'aurez pas ma haine, dans cette 75e édition du Festival de Locarno. My name is Mathilde Enrault. I'm one of the members of the selection committee of the festival, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to the team of the film you're going to watch on Piazza Grande tonight. Vous n'aurez pas ma haine, You will not have my hate. Starting with the director of the film, Kilian Ridhoff. The main protagonist of the film is Pierre de la Donchamp. And the producer of the film, Janine from Komplitzen. Oops, sorry. Janine Jakowski. So I will start with one question, and then I will invite each one of you who wants to ask a question to the team of the film. So thank you first for this very intimate account of what happened in Paris in November 2015. Maybe as a start, do you want to elaborate on the title of the film? It comes from a text that was written by Antoine after the attack. First, a Facebook post, and then later a book and a play. How was it the starting point of the film for you, and how was the collaboration with Antoine?
Well, the starting point was when I first read this novel in 2017. I was very touched because I have a daughter nearly the same age as Will. I felt it is very close to my life, but not only to my life, I think to the life of many people in Europe. And the starting point of this story, the wife goes out in the evening, the father taking his kid to bed. It's very familiar. And this approach to show a terrorist attack and the effect to the family, to the nucleus of our life, this was the thing which struck me mostly.
And did you collaborate with Antoine when you were preparing the film?
We met twice. The first time to get know to each other. The second time, it was a research together with my co-writers Marc Blöbaum and Jan Braren. We asked him as many things as we wanted to know. He was very collaborative. He told us about his family, so there was a brother and a sister, and he told us very many little details. And then he told us, well, take the story and make something own out of it, which was very important and a big freedom for us. So I'm very thankful to him that he gave us this permission.
And for you, Pierre, was it something that you also wanted to do, like to meet Antoine before, embodying this character who represents him and what happened to him? Because I know at one point he said about this text that has been also adapted into a play that he needed to feel a distance to the character it had become that was embodied at the time on stage by Raphaël Personnaz.
J'ai pas particulièrement ressenti le besoin de rencontrer Antoine. On s'est parlé par message, mais vu qu'il avait livré son histoire et cédé aussi les droits de l'histoire à Kilian et ses co-auteurs, il a demandé à ce que cette histoire soit désormais la leur et donc la nôtre. Et j'ai pas ressenti le besoin de le voir, lui parler pour savoir d'autres choses. Il y avait beaucoup de choses dans son livre. J'ai regardé des interviews de lui et ça m'a suffi, en tout cas parce que je ne voulais pas tomber dans une forme de copier-coller. Oui. Antoine, c'est Antoine, et puis moi je joue un Antoine, mais pas le vrai Antoine.
Est-ce qu'il y a déjà des questions pour l'équipe? Si on reste sur votre personnage d'Antoine, quel était l'enjeu principal en fait de votre personnage dans ce moment très particulier de sa vie?
Moi, j'ai le sentiment qu'il y en avait beaucoup des enjeux. Le premier étant de faire face à cette situation traumatisante, évidemment, horrible, mais aussi il n'avait pas le temps de s'apitoyer sur son propre sort. Il devait s'occuper d'un enfant qui ne comprenait pas ce qui se passait. et à qui on ne pouvait pas expliquer de manière adulte ce qui se passait. Donc je crois qu'il s'est à la fois beaucoup appuyé sur l'enfant, mais il a été aussi énormément obligé de s'occuper de son enfant, et parfois avec des failles, avec des luttes contre ses propres démons, et presque le sentiment que sans sa femme, cet enfant devenait plus un poids parfois qu'un appui, et c'est seulement au bout d'un certain temps que c'est devenu une très grande force, voire sa plus grande force.
Oui, c'est le moment où sa douleur aussi passe de l'intime au public.
Oui, et puis le fait d'avoir écrit ce post aussi rapidement, pour moi, faisait montre d'une grande intelligence émotionnelle, de surtout pas céder à la colère et au fait de haïr ces gens. Mais de tout de suite penser à qu'est-ce que je peux transformer, avec ce sentiment en positif.
So it's a story that for many French people and Parisian people is still extremely emotional, and it's still an open one in memories. I was very curious, and I wanted to hear from both of you, Janine and Kilian, on how you faced this emotion from people from the land or the city, you being German, and also how you decided to handle this touchy subject of radical Islamists.
No, I mean, I think the story of Antoine is very personal and very universal at the same time. I think, and this is what makes it so special, and this is why we really wanted to do that film, because I think it's unique what happened to him. But in the same way, as Kilian was saying before, also you can connect to it very easily, because Antoine used to work, he was like in this cultural scene of Paris, a very liberal guy and a family, like very normal basically, and this happened to him and to his family basically, and I think, of course there's a political dimension, but it's really about, like what happens if terror comes into the core of your family, basically, and how do you deal with that? And I think it's such a brave post. It's such a brave novel, basically, and I think it's so human and so touched, and so I think it's a very universal story, basically, and I can connect to it just as well as many other people all around the world, I guess. Yeah.
I think it was a delicate task for us, and it was important to listen to our French colleagues, to people we talked in Paris especially. I think in Paris there is nearly everybody with a story connected to the Bataclan. There were people who intended to go to the Bataclan or who were inside the Bataclan. So I think the headline for this was to listen to them and not to dramatize it in a traditional way. So one thing Antoine begged us was not to dramatize the attack itself. Yeah. And we respected it because it was always an inside view, on this attack. So I think it was important for us not to give the terrorists a stage where they can show off, but to be intimate with the story. And I think one reason Antoine gave us the story was that we had this little distance from the epicenter of what happened, which I think was useful, because when you are right involved in this story, and many people in Paris are right now at the end of the trials, then maybe it's good to have a bit of a distance, like a compassionate friend, and that I think that was our role from the German side. So,
yeah, thank you for that. It's true. I mean, because the attacks are attacks on people, but they were targeted as attacks on what those people, their way of living was representing or is representing for the French. I think it's interesting because there were different films about this terrible attacks that were presented in festival this year, but you're the only one who focused really on the intimate of it.
Pardon?
Yours is the only one that focused entirely on the intimate, but I think it's also very interesting that it comes from someone who doesn't live there, as you were saying. So is another film on Bataclan by Isabella Cuesta that is not from the place.
Et je rajouterais aussi qu'il y a un moment très important pour moi dans le film de Kilian, c'est quand le personnage d'Antoine revoit Bruno qui était avec la femme d'Antoine ce soir-là, qui n'a pas pu lui dire les choses au téléphone, qui a été blessé lui-même et qui a mis beaucoup de temps à s'en remettre, et qu'Antoine ne voulait pas voir parce qu'il représentait ce qu'il restait de vivant de sa femme, et aussi parce que Bruno ne lui a pas dit la vérité tout de suite, il lui en a voulu. Il a mis beaucoup de temps à pouvoir reprendre contact avec lui, et je crois que c'est ce qu'il y a de plus intime, je trouve, à l'intérieur du Bataclan, de savoir que cet homme était avec la femme d'Antoine et qu'il était aussi le meilleur ami d'Antoine, et qu'il y avait cette espèce de trio qui n'était plus qu'un duo et qui a été dur à reconstruire.
Oui, absolument. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Oui, il y a quelque chose qui m'a frappée. J'ai vu plusieurs films réalisés. There are some films that have children actors and have them have a core or a side role in the film. But in this film, what really touched me is how the child helps convey the emotion and has quite such a central role, actually, and with such a young child. How did you work that around? Because it is really exceptional.
Yeah, that was a big miracle, I think, in the beginning, how to create a film with a 3-year-old kid in a principal role, because I've never seen a film who worked with a kid so young. Yeah. We casted that kid in 4 countries. Initially, we searched for a boy, but it was quite clear to us very soon, I think, that a girl might work better, because at that age, maybe not only at that age, but at that age they are a little bit quicker in mind, and the boys are always, the boys are connected to actions. Meanwhile, especially Zoe was able to show the emotions in her eyes, so she really is able to give us an insight in her soul. And so this inner action, which you need, especially in this story, about fear, about despair, about happiness again, this is essentially, and so it couldn't work without her. But I have to say, it couldn't work without the patience of Pierre, because for an actor, I mean, you can say it better, but for an actor just to wait until the kid is ready, sometimes it's really hard, and you have to be then ready in 1 second, So it's a special job, and I'm really thankful to Pierre that he was able to go with the kid. It's really, and meanwhile playing the toughest part you can play, 34 days or so, always to play grievance and to go down in this dark hell, and all this together, which produces an amazing performance, I think.
Yeah. And also our French co-producer from Haute-Cour introduced us to Nurma, who worked with Zoe a lot, and she has some kind of technique to work with such small children, with colors and everything, and she did an amazing job. It was really, really a miracle to see, what is actually possible with a child so young.
Yes, et en plus, un enfant, quand il joue au cinéma, ce n'est pas un métier, c'est une activité. Et pour lui, pour Zoé en l'occurrence, si elle n'avait pas envie de le faire, elle ne le faisait pas. Et nous, acteurs professionnels, on a une obligation de résultat. Et elle s'en fichait parfois, c'était marrant. Et c'était à la fois assez déconcertant, mais ça a amené une forme d'improvisation permanente au milieu de choses qui étaient très écrites. Et Zoé, la relation qu'on a créée tous les deux était très importante parce que des fois, on l'emmenait quelque part sans qu'elle se rende compte qu'on était en train de travailler et on lançait la caméra en plein milieu d'un jeu où elle ignorait que ça allait être la scène. Donc ça, c'était assez fascinant et à faire et à regarder, à observer.
Oui, ça transparaît à l'écran quelque chose d'extrêmement spontané et à la fois ce qui est très rare, c'est on peut avoir les enfants that are spontaneous, but also the emotion. This is really, really hard to achieve.
Oui, puis par exemple, il y a des scènes où Antoine doit crier un peu fort auprès de son enfant et on l'a prévenu à l'avance que j'étais son copain, mais que j'allais crier fort parce que la caméra allait me filmer. Et moi, j'étais toujours très, très précautionneux, mais il y a des moments quand même où j'étais dans le personnage, dans la scène, et où j'avais très peur de sa réaction en tant qu'enfant et pas en tant qu'actrice, parce que évidemment, faut prendre soin d'un enfant sur un tournage. Elle avait que quelques heures de tournage par jour, beaucoup de repos, et ce qui était très bien. Mais c'était aussi un facteur important dans le tournage de devoir jouer avec Zoé.
There's some questions from the audience. I mean, maybe this leads me also to think about the huis clos the film is also shot with. Like, did you shoot everything with Zoe in France, or did you have to shoot on different locations because it's a co-production? So, this.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's actually a co-production between Germany, France, and Belgium, basically. So, and we shot most part basically in Germany, and 7 days, I think, in Paris, and we actually rebuilt this apartment because this is also something that was very important to Antoine, is to show a small apartment, basically, so to not change his lifestyle, so to not pretend, for example, that. I mean, because they were a normal family, living in a small apartment in Paris. So, to work or to shoot in a small apartment, we had to rebuild it in a studio, and this studio was in Cologne, basically. Yeah.
But we tried to put as much French details in it. So I mean, my production designer literally carried the windows for the apartment by himself from Paris they collected on the street and brought it to Cologne. So I think that was really important because we have a French story, so we have a huge responsibility for the story, and we really want French people to adapt this, this story as their own. It's important. So.
Oui, et moi qui suis français, je crois que j'ai rarement vu un aussi beau décor en arrivant dans le faux appartement, qui en fait devient un vrai appartement, parce qu'à part le fait qu'il faille monter par un échafaudage, après, quand on est dedans, il y a vraiment absolument tout. La salle de bain fonctionne, la cuisine fonctionne, tout fonctionne. Et j'étais vraiment impressionné par le travail de décoration. J'ai rarement vu un aussi bel appartement en studio.
And it shows on screen because I thought it was shot in Paris, and I'm from Paris.
Very good.
So congratulations. One of the enjeux, let's say, one of the important thing also of the film is to have a lasting impression of the character played by Camila. So I wanted to know also how you constructed this character, how you met her. I mean, she's not primarily an actress, she's also a singer. Because it is very important that she is of explosive energy, solar. We are attached to their couple in order to also have to face what he's going through.
Absolutely. I think one important thing is her personality. She's a very warm and inspiring personality, and as you just said already, it was important at the beginning to have the feeling of this family as a vivid nucleus which is destroyed. So afterwards we are even more frightened about Antoine when he loses her. So she was the center of this family in a way. And I think that Camila was the perfect choice for this, especially with her background. I mean, the real Hélène, she has a Kabylian background. So the father and the mother were from the north of Africa. And I think it's important for the story to reflect this in the casting because there was not a white French woman hit, but someone with a background from North Africa. And this is important because we always, you know, there are people I mean, telling us the Islamistic, I mean, they hit us only, but it's not true. They hit all human beings, you know. In the Bataclan there were so many nations, and I think the family of Hélène Léris is a very good example for tolerance, because the father was Jew, the mother was, I think, from the Islam, so it's a mélange, and to reflect this in the casting, that was very important for us.
Yeah, that's also why, I mean, you capture it very well. That's why it was so hurtful that the terrorists decided to attack this part of Paris that represents something in terms of mixity, approach to, you know, the otherness. So.
And also all the bars in Paris, because
yes.
we talk always about the Bataclan, that's our story, but this day was hopeful in every space in Paris where you can have fun. So a concert and having a drink with friends. So yes, it's the story of Antoine, but Hélène could have been on a terrace having a drink. It would have been exactly the same.
Yeah, that's true. So thank you so much for this film.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.